Samsung's budget smartphones have been quite weird. Because they make both budget smartphones and flagships, they make the budget phone so distant in value that it almost means like a scam to purchase one. But things have changed. This is the Samsung Galaxy A15 and it's probably Samsung's most amazing budget smartphone ever made. Let's check out the cameras, performance, pros and cons of this phone to see whether it's worth its $150 asking price, but first I need you to smash that subscribe button for more videos. Thank you. No joke, this smartphone smashes all metrics. A 1080p Super AMOLED panel with 800 nits of brightness. An average performing MediaTek Helio G99 chip with 128GB of storage and 8GB of RAM. A 50 megapixels main camera with optical image stabilization as well as an improved 25-watt charging speed. Let's skip the unboxing aside because we are rest assured that Samsung doesn't provide accessories in their boxes anymore. But it's the phone that we should be concerned about. For starters, the build quality is a step up from the A14. It's flat on the front and rear and sharpened in such a way that this phone can stand up without any support. The build is plastic, but it does look premium without any signs of flexing and sloppy construction. But the problem with this design is that Samsung was aiming for design flair, so they made the back glossy, which attracts a lot of fingerprints, and so you end up constantly cleaning it up. The software here is One UI 6 slapped on Android 14, and I think this is the first time that Samsung is bringing Android 14 to their smartphones. What makes it better is that, thank God, this isn't the core version, so it's just as feature-rich as the S23 Ultra, which has this update as well. And it's very utilitarian. You get extreme customization, from mapping out the specific color output of the material you theming down to changing your fingerprint animation. And I'm glad that on this phone you are getting 4 full years of Android OS updates as well as security patch updates, which is, compare that to the similarly priced A14 from last year, with 1 UI core and only 2 years of software support. And the battery life is still basically the same. It's a 5000 mAh battery here, but the charging speed has been upgraded from 15 watt to 25 watt. Although you do have to buy a compatible charger to achieve those speeds, as they don't actually give you a charging brick in the box.
Yeah, boy.
The processor got upgraded this year. Powering last year's A14 was the Exynos 850, which was really sketchy. You could see that it wasn't well thought out, with glitches whilst navigating the user interface, poor consistency with handling network speeds and shutter lag. But this year ships in with the average performing MediaTek Helio G99, which fixes almost all problems. I'm not saying that you wouldn't experience any issues, but the thing is that things are snappier here as opposed to previously. There's also a 50 megapixel main camera with an ultra-wide camera as well as a macro camera. And what makes it special is that they've brought optical image stabilization to counteract any hand jiggling, and in doing so, reduces the chance of motion blur whilst taking photos. I wish I could say the same for the video. 1080p video is available on both front and rear cameras, but is just a step above last year's camera in terms of video quality. But I think this is the most improved area of this phone, the screen. For one, we're getting a Super AMOLED panel with a 90Hz refresh rate and 800 nits of peak brightness, which can be used outdoors comfortably. The 90Hz panel is much smoother than 60Hz, and the Super AMOLED panel is a big upgrade from the PLS LCD which was on the A14, and you do get the benefits: a high contrast color accurate experience, slimmer bezels, and most importantly an always-on display. Oh wait a second, there isn't support for an always-on display on this phone, bummer. I can think of a lot of people who would just peek at the display to check the time or random notifications, but would be surprised it isn't on this phone, because believe it or not, the always-on display is one of the main benefits of an AMOLED panel. And the fact that this Galaxy A15 doesn't support it is quite sad.
No! No!
But I can say that this is miles ahead of what we got from this guy's predecessor. We finally get an OLED panel rather than LCD, as well as a more stable, normal One UI software. So is this worth $150? That depends on all that you take into consideration, but my personal takeaway is that this is a Samsung budget phone which doesn't feel like the consumer is actually being left out, so yes, I absolutely recommend it. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, kindly subscribe. I'm Hillary, this is Harry21, and I'll catch you in the next one.